You know, I tried to think about how do you do a brief introduction on Martha Stewart's life, and it is a phenomenal life. And, you know, I'll just talk about a few things, and I'll start by saying you are an icon. You are certainly a trailblazer. I mean, being what you've accomplished as a woman in the time that you started your business is beyond belief. It really is. You are known in almost every household in the United States.
My Q rating is high.
Yeah.
And it's really high in Atlanta, where I just was at the Super Bowl. I think it was 100 down in Atlanta. Everybody. It was crazy, especially the guys doing barbecue on the streets.
Oh my God.
They respond very favorably to Martha.
Oh, tailgating and tailgating with Martha. That would be that could be another book.
Oh yeah. We have grilling coming out. Grilling's good. It's just coming out.
Wow. Unbelievable. So, I mean, you are a brilliant marketer. You're a shrewd businesswoman for sure. But I don't know if people really know how kind-hearted you are and how funny Martha is. And I hope you'll tell us a little bit about how your humor got you through all of the ups and downs in your life.
Well, her humor and personal perseverance, you know, that goes. I think it goes hand in hand, for me anyway.
It does. So a few fun facts, and then I'm going to get to the meat. Your dad was a pharmaceutical salesman.
Not a drug salesman.
Not a drug salesman.
Yeah. Some newspapers say he was a drug salesman. So and today it's okay, but back then it was not okay.
Be careful. There's newspapers here. And your mom was a teacher. And I love the fact that as a teenager, you babysat Mickey Mantle's children and Yogi Berra's children.
Yep.
So I want to know, do you have signed baseball cards?
Well, I got like Gil McDougall's signed baseball card, and why didn't I get Mickey Mantle? I have no idea why I didn't. But they were fun to work for. We had a little gang of high school girls who traveled to like Englewood and Teaneck, New Jersey, where they all were living. And we babysat for their kids, and we went to a few games every now and then. But it's basically for the $1.25 an hour that they paid us.
Wow. So you were also a model for Chanel. I mean, this is like amazing. You worked as a stockbroker.
Yes, I did.
And as we said,
one of my most difficult clients sitting right next to me, Fidelity. When I had to go to Boston to present our portfolio of investments to Ned Johnson and his team, that was frightening. That was very, very frightening. And I took an unusually charismatic man with me. He had a crew cut. He was short and stocky. And I flew up on the Eastern Shuttle to Boston. I don't know if you remember this, Peter, and when I came home that night, he did a good job presenting his company. And when I came home, my husband said, "What'd you do today?" I said, "I was with this crazy guy. He was a Marine, and he started this company, Electronic Data Systems, which is like right around the corner from where I grew up in Nutley, New Jersey." And so of course, you know, that was Ross Perot. So it was kind of fun to hang out with guys like that early on in my stockbroker career.
So unbelievable.
I think they bought it. I think you bought the stock.
So Martha, you have a 96% brand awareness.
Yeah, that's
okay. I would kill to have that at TJX.
Well, I think you're getting there.
No,
I think
not
so.
96.
No, not yet. You have to spread. You have to become a little bit more nationwide. TV.
We're working on
TV
it.
takes you there, and Snoop Dogg takes you to the
yeah.
the end of it.
We had somebody in the audience that was going to ask you a question. You want to talk a little bit about Snoop Dogg?
Well, yeah, it's an unusual thing because basically when you're building a brand, and you don't really start out building a brand, you start doing your job, you start making a company, you start creating products, building a group of people around you, like-minded people to work with you, and then all of a sudden you're a brand. and how do you keep that brand alive and thriving and growing? And it's the demographics too that are so important to reach as large a demographic audience as possible. And that Snoop show, Martha and Snoop's Potluck Dinner Party, really did it. It was first that Bieber roast. Comedy Central has a very large reach around the world,
Yeah.
And my company didn't want me to do that. They thought it was really wrong for my brand, and the Home Depot was not going to like that, hanging out with those rappers and stuff. And all of a sudden, after 10 billion impressions, you are part of that culture, melding of cultures. And I really, it was the right move to do that. And then to partner with Snoop on a program on VH1, Martha and Snoop was crazy. But it works because it's, again, a melding of cultures. And I'm very interested in every aspect of American life and what's happening here and there and everywhere. And
Yeah, you certainly get around the world, all over the place. I mean, you've told me a little bit about your travels, which is just amazing.
I like
But
it.
my last fact, you became America's first self-made woman billionaire.
I did, yeah, it's crazy,
And,
right?
and that is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Despite my lawyer, he didn't even understand what I was doing. I mean, he didn't, when I was doing this IPO, he was just dismissive. But it's not about the money, but it's about the money. And that was a nice thing to do, but was building the company a synergistic, good company that was creating nice products for the homemaker. And that's really what the goal was. And to also give information and inspiration to the homemaker who I felt the homemaker was me. I was really working for me, creating and writing about subject matters that were interesting to me as a homemaker. And we needed help. Women were entering the workforce. They didn't know how to cope with a job and a family and a kid or kids, and so it was an appropriate and good beginning.
So, can you tell us how you got started? I mean,
Well, the story's like long and boring, but
I don't think it's boring.
But
Yeah.
it was
A lot of these women want to know.
Well, I started writing book. After I was on Wall Street, and I decided negotiated commissions, and I could have stayed on Wall Street. It probably would have been a very interesting career, but I was very interested in restoration of home, building, gardening. I was interested in all what became the core content areas of Martha Stewart Living. And we had 7 core content areas. I wrote a book in 1982 called Entertaining, which again was an unusual book because it was a photography book with beautiful pictures of food in color. My publisher wanted to do it in black and white, and I said, "Are you crazy? This has to be a beautiful book." It has recipes, and it had a story about how to do things. So that book started my career, and I found a voice. And it was a good voice because everybody responded to it nicely. And it gained the attention of people like Kmart Corporation, which at the time, Kmart was the largest retailer in the United States. They were way bigger than Walmart, and they were way bigger than Target, which was like a little blip. And they owned a lot of companies, Builders Square and a whole bunch, and booksellers, and it was an interesting company. But so they asked me to design home products, and that business grew at the time. My husband negotiated the contract. We just did it sort of like off the cuff. And he was a lawyer, but he had his own company at the time. He was working for Abrams Art Books, and being a publisher. So we just did this contract, and it turned out to be amazing, because at that time it was still, they believed in advertising. There was no internet really. Nobody was buying online. Nobody was using a computer on a daily basis. This is in the 80s. It seems like yesterday, and yet it was so far long ago technologically. And so we built a $1.6 billion business like overnight with Kmart.
Wow.
And the product that we made, I was so intense on making the best product for the home because I wanted to use it. I still use all my towels from Kmart. I have a mansion in Maine, Edsel Ford's fabulous house. Every bathroom has Martha Kmart towels in it because they were fantastic, and they're like 30 years old
I
now.
mean, they actually dry you?
They're fantastic. They were all made in Brazil out of a beautiful cotton, and they are amazing. And they're in all the bedrooms and bathrooms. I can, so many bedrooms and bathrooms in this place. And the sheets are the best cotton sheets, all from Kmart. And people look at them and say, "Oh, where'd you get these beautiful towels?" And Kmart in 1986 or whatever it was. So crazy. But that's what started me. And then I learned about zeros. That was when I first learned about zeros. You could sell, you can sell $1,000 worth of stuff. You can sell $1 million worth of stuff, and you can go 100 and 500 and $1 billion. And it made sense because the price, the more you could sell, the less you could charge. And you could keep that quality up there if you tried. And that's what we've done ever since. We've tried very, very hard to maintain a very high quality at a reasonable price so that you can save money to make money to send your kids to college. It matters to me a lot, this kind of value.
You talk about true value.
I do, and I would still believe in it. I still try so hard to make things that are affordable and good, and what we're trying to do with you guys, and we're trying to work together.
Very good marketing.
Yes. And working with our other partners and creating. I'm working on QVC now, making fashion, which I never really thought I would do, but I call it the practical classic fashion. So that when you get out of that, a woman goes out of the house in the morning and she looks really good when she leaves, and she looks really good when she comes home. And that's what my daughter used to tell me, "Mother, do not leave the house with your apron on. Comb your hair, look good." And I used to go out in dirty aprons and whatever, shopping and stuff. It didn't really hurt. Don't tell her that. But I now might see a woman put together. I want to look like that woman. I want all women to be able to look that way, and not spend a fortune doing it.
How do you, you are involved in everything. How do you keep that innovation going and the organization
I'm curious about many, many things. I'm very curious about gardening now because I'm an avid gardener.
I know people drive around to your house to see you gardening.
Well, we do a lot of garden
Hamptons.
tours too, and my places are presentable to garden tours because I work really hard on landscape and garden and plant material, and I raise a lot of money for charity that way. That's one of the ways I can give back by owning something that's beautiful, but I can still share it with others and make a lot of money for local charities, clubs that need funding, all that kind of stuff.
What are the charities that are most dear and near to your heart?
Well, one of them, I think the most important, the one that I've funded, I've given most money to, is the Martha Stewart Center for Living at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. We built our first outpatient ward for geriatric patients 10 years ago. It's a 10th anniversary this year. It's been very successful. It's a prototype for other hospitals elsewhere in the United States. Both Johns Hopkins, University of Southern California, and Mount Sinai are the leading geriatric medical centers. And geriatric meaning, when we started 10 years ago, it was 65 or over. And now it's, the age is going up, but and more people are over the age of 65. And in a couple of years, it's going to be more than half the population is going to be over 65 in the United States. We have an aging population, and who is going to take care of us? So we're building our second hospital. We just signed the papers for the second hospital down below 14th Street in Union Square in New York. So it'll be the second center for living, and I'm very excited about it because we found out in doing our research, where should it be, that more people over 65 live below 14th Street. and they need the same help that everybody above 14th Street needs. So it's exciting, and the doctors are so diligent. And 10 years ago, the doctors told me, geriatric medicine is the least sought after practice by medical students. Nobody wants to take care of old complaining people. Guess what? In 10 years, many doctors are entering the geriatric practice because they're finding that they have a lot more patients. And medicine is helping us live longer. It's getting exciting again. So that's what we're happy about. And the other thing is environmental. I'm very excited about I work in Maine. I have a house in Maine, as I said, and the Maine Coast Heritage Trust is something that I support, and the Acadia National Park. My house is borders that park, and I love that place. So we work on that too.
Maine is beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to do a lot more. I fell in a hole in 2001 too, and a lot of my money was frittered away because of the hole I fell into. And I wish I had a lot more money to be able to be more charitable. I totally believe in giving back. And I've been teaching my little grandchildren, the 6 and 7-year-old grandchildren, about philanthropy, and that's another thing that all of us could do is really educate the kids. And they gave to Acadia, and they got their ranger hats, and they're Acadian Rangers, and they're very happy about it. So those are important things.
So you've been through so many ups and downs. Can you
Mostly
talk
up.
about
It's mostly
it?
Up. No, mostly up. Only 2 downs: a divorce and a lawsuit, a horrible lawsuit. But I never dwell on that. I cannot dwell on that.
But you told me a little story about some things that you were very creative, even when you went away for a little
To
short
camp,
period
when I
of
went to
time.
camp?
Yeah, you went to camp. Can you share that?
They called it Camp Cupcake, by the way. Camp Cupcake. It doesn't exist anymore. They closed down the whole cupcake part of the camp. It's horrible now. No, it's no. I'm not anybody to be put down. I can't be put down. So going, I made crabapple jelly. It was totally against the rules, but there were crab apples on the tree. I made jelly. I got sugar from the dining room, and made crabapple jelly on the hot plate. That was fun. I think they took it away from me, but it's horrible. And there's another area I would have liked to have gotten more involved in the hideous incarceration policies of the United States. We have more prisoners in prisons than pretty much any other country. And it's so ridiculous. And now with all these drug laws being lifted and people legalizing, it's mostly drugs, legalizing marijuana and everything else, there's no reason to have that population, but it's still going to take a while. So, and I don't want to get involved with it. It's just too depressing to me that others are working on it.
Yeah. So tell us specifically the Marley Spoon box. Can you tell us about that?
Well,
you're working on one of your new.
As a brand, you get invited to participate in a lot of different kinds of businesses. So from the flower business, I brought a box over here that's Martha's flowers. In a beautiful box, you get roses, and you'll be getting all kinds of other flowers by subscription if you like, or as gifts. Or for parties, you can order things. But Marley Spoon is one of the meal kit businesses. And there was a big flurry of meal kit boxes being sent out about 3 years ago. That's when I first got interested in it. And I tested every single one of the meal kits, from Blue Apron to HelloFresh, to Purple Carrot, the many of them. And I found that Marley Spoon, which originated in Germany and then expanded to England and to Australia and then to New York, was really delicious. So I invited the young German entrepreneur who started it to the office, and we developed a partnership because I have the 25 or 30,000 recipes that they desperately need. Because you run through recipes really fast because the customer really wants variety. And what these meal kits do, if you haven't tried one, they're really kind of interesting. You order last week for this week's delivery, And you get a box, and you can order for 2 people, 4 people, 6 people, whatever your family is. And for about, I think, average $10 a person, $10 a meal, you get all the ingredients in what we call a dish bag. It's a silly name. It's a brown paper bag. You get all the ingredients in there except for olive oil, salt, and pepper. And water, of course, to boil the pasta or whatever. What this does is not only does the company not have any waste, you don't have any waste because if you're a working person, you go out and buy a 5-pound bag of onions. You find your onions growing in the pantry after a couple weeks. You haven't used the onions because you've been going out to dinner. Instead, you're going to get the 2 onions that you need for that particular meal. And the meals are delicious.
They're probably healthy, right?
And they're very healthy. You can opt out for this or that. We're now offering 20 meals a week, 20 different menus a week, which is more than any other meal kit. And the company is growing at a healthy rate. It's still a small company, but it's growing well. And we are opening. We just opened a new headquarters, a distribution center in Dallas. We're opening another one in California. So it's growing, and it's fun because you're eliminating a lot of that waste in the grocery stores. When you go to a Whole Foods or any of those grocery stores, the waste in the fresh ingredients in those stores is phenomenal. Sometimes 60% waste, and that's horrible. It's all going into the chopper and into the sewer. So it's a way to deal with it. And I hope that some of the grocery stores, too, the more innovative ones, will be making meal kits, too, maybe with us.
Lifestyle's really changing.
Yeah. It is. Lifestyle is changing drastically. And another thing about these kits, you get to taste all kinds of food that you might not have ever tasted before. You can have a Korean dinner one night, or a Japanese dinner, or an Italian dinner. You can try different nationalities of food, too, and it's so good.
That's great. So what do you...
Have you tried one yet?
I haven't tried one, but I'm going to. I think I have to. I might take a box from over there. So tell me, what do you feel you still want to accomplish in life? I mean, it's just...
Well, there's so much to accomplish. I mean, I'd like to be in a movie. I've been in. No, I'm just kidding.
What role are you going to play?
Again, opposite Brad Pitt or somebody.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. There's so much to do.
A Star is Born.
Yeah. There's so much to do in a life, and I don't feel like I'm anywhere near finished with my creative drive and my curiosity and it's so fun. Every day I think of something else I'd like to do. I'm working on a software program now, and it's something that I hope would be embedded into. I mean, we wake up, Alexa, what's the weather? I'd rather ask Martha, something or other. It'd be much less boring. But I'm working on a piece of software now that I hope will be useful to the homemaker too. We need more organization and ease of information retrieval as homemakers.
So a piece of your organization focuses on technology?
No, I'm focusing on that just as a sort of a side thing.
When
right
they say
now.
Bring home the bacon fried up in a pan and everything, you're everything.
I'm trying.
So what advice would you give to all the young people today that want to be future Martha Stewarts?
Well, being an entrepreneur is very difficult, and people don't really talk about how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. And you don't know you're an entrepreneur until you start something. You get this brilliant idea, and what are you going to do with this idea? Who are you going to talk to about it? Where are you going to find those people that are like-minded? And I was lucky. I was so lucky when I first started. I met a woman about my age who had gone to Harvard Business School, and she was very hardworking and very intuitive. And we climbed Kilimanjaro together. We went on a trip with a few other friends, and we climbed up Kilimanjaro and talked the whole way. By the time we came back, she had agreed to work for me, and we didn't die up there. We were, horrible, but we got down and we decided we would work together on making a Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia. We even came up with a name up there. 20,000 feet. You know, I think we were a little lightheaded, but we were friends by the time we came back down, and we started the Martha Stewart Living. We came up with the whole plan for buying the company back from Time Inc. And doing all the stuff that we did, and it was so great to find somebody like-minded. And that's important when you have other things to do. I had a child to deal with. By that time I didn't have the husband any longer, but so I didn't have to worry about him. But I had my animals and my houses and all of that.
She has the cutest dogs ever.
I do. I have the best animals, and I had all those things I wanted to build. So it was great to find that. We built around us a fantastic group of young people who really made a difference in the company. And we expanded rapidly and very well and successfully. And so it was a lot of fun. So you have to find the right people. You have to find how are you going to fund your operation. We were lucky. I just signed on the dotted line. I didn't even think about it. But I'm not afraid of money. So when I bought my company back from Time, they had already indicated what they wanted. I just took a loan and signed it. And by that time, I was valuable enough to get a loan.
No problem taking risks.
Yeah, and I had a really good banker, Ann Finucane over here, and knows my banker, and she believed in me, and so it was okay. But you have to do that. Don't overextend yourself when you started. A good friend of mine who's just becoming well known, Susan Magrino. She runs a public relations firm in New York, a very good public relations. She started out, and I remember her coming to me. She was doing my PR for my publisher at the time, and she asked me. She said, "I really want to go out on my own. I want to borrow money," and I said, "Don't just borrow from your father. Borrow, how much do you need?"
Small.
Yeah, and I said, borrow from him, you'll pay back in the first year, you're gonna pay him back right away, and then you're on your own. And she did it, and now she has a multi-million-dollar company doing very, very well with great people working for her. And that's, that's the kind of advice I think all entrepreneurs need. And there are other ways to raise money now, to get encouragement. I think someone at our table runs a startup firm, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's and I'm so envious of that, because that really makes a big difference for a lot of young people who want to start.
Yeah. And how do you balance work life and personal?
I don't.
It's the same.
It's impossible. There's no balance whatsoever. I mean, that's why I don't have a husband, I'm sure. Any men in the audience who don't want a balanced life, just come over and see me. But it's like so stupid.
I'm sorry, but I don't think she needs a husband.
But I love to make time to travel. I like to make time to see my grandchildren. I love my two grandchildren. They kind of changed my life. They're fantastic. But they don't want to see grandma all the time. They call me Martha, so that's good. they don't want to see Martha all the time. I don't know about soccer, and I don't know.
Do you cook for them?
Huh? Oh yeah, but their mother is a much better cook than I am, and she has more time to do that. I don't. I'd rather take them out and talk to them.
So you passed it on for sure.
Oh yes, indeed. But so there's a lot of, and I travel a lot. I took them to Tasmania for Christmas. That was a long trip down to Tasmania. I forgot how long it was to fly down there, but that was interesting, and we had a great time. And we've been to Dubai, and we're going to Petra in March. I try to make time and I try to arrange speaking engagements so that I can do that and then add on a couple days to see something like Petra. I haven't been to Petra yet.
Oh.
Have you been?
I haven't been.
Oh, I'm dying to see that.
I haven't been to most of the places
Oh.
you've been.
Well, I like to travel. And
I'm like in Boston way too much.
Oh. Well, you're doing amazing things, so it's good.
But I just incredible. So, I just, mentors. I want to, who in your life influenced you?
Well, I got a lot of mentors. Most of them you've never heard of. I mean, these are people who are like the intense, the plant explorer who lives out in Seattle. He really got me interested in varieties of plants, different species and cultivars. And I really learned a lot about horticulture from him, Dan Hinckley. And then there's the cooks. Julia Child was one of my mentors.
Oh.
I mean, I cooked every single one of Julia's recipes assiduously until I knew how to cook and knew how to make my best French bread. And my daughter still says my croissants were as good as any croissant she's ever had, ever anywhere. So that's good. And Julia's recipe taught me. So, and I was on her show several times. She came to visit me and lunch with my mom. They were about the same age. And how nice it was to get those two ladies in the same room. David Rockefeller, who died at 102 last year, he too was I would consider him one of my mentors. He was my neighbor in Maine, and what a lovely gentleman, and how kind and how totally free. He gave his advice so freely and nicely. Really great guy. So he was one of my mentors. And then there's, you know, I had an old boyfriend who was one of my mentors. He taught me all about software. He designed Excel and Word, and I learned a lot from him. He learned a lot from me too, because I taught him how to be an entrepreneur. He started a company after he left Microsoft, and you know, those are the kinds of people, very kind of thoughtful, intellectual, educated in your mind people.
And just close friends like Snoop Dogg and, you know.
Well, I can't say Snoop is a real close friend.
Okay.
But we hang out sometimes. And he came to my house for lunch and recently this past summer, and I had my daughter and all her friends and all the kids were running around, but they didn't pay any attention to Snoop Dogg and his entourage of 7 giant men. You know, the bodyguards and everybody all show up, and they all just sat down. I had the table set for my daughter's friends, and Snoop just sat down with all these guys, and they just ate everything. And my daughter had to go in and cook for them, for her friends. I mean, crazy. But he's fun, and we're starting our 3rd season of the Snoop and Martha potluck dinner party. That starts in 2 weeks. So on a diet, I have to practice dancing. Just
You're going to be dancing?
No, I'm just kidding.
No. Okay.
Right. You have to have the moves, though. You
Any
know.
other shows in the horizon? Any other?
Well, I do. I have 2 shows on public television. I have Martha Bakes and Martha's Cooking School. The cooking school is very exciting because we did a 13-week series for the Middle East on the foods of the Arabian Gulf. That has been shown on Qatar Airlines in the Middle East, on public television here, and it's been a very popular show. They asked us, the company in Dubai that we were working with, asked us to, because of the high incidence of diabetes in the Middle East from the rich foods, they asked us if we would sort of lighten the foods, lighten the recipes, the traditional recipes, which we did. We worked really hard on it with a lot of Middle Eastern friends. And boy, the food is so good on that show. And now Turkey has come to us. We're doing all the foods of regional Turkey. So that's, and I love Turkish food, so that's going to be fun. Hopefully we'll do that with Japan. I love Japanese food. And I'd love to do a series on Chinese food. So we're constantly looking for new opportunities in our core content areas and trying to make this stuff happen.
Is there any country you haven't been to that you want to?
Let me see.
It's not a trick question, but
No,
I want to see if there's a place you haven't been.
There's a lot. I haven't been to Mongolia yet. I don't think the food there is exactly suited for a public television. That flying the eagles I could do. You know, did you see that the girl who flew her eagle? It won a lot of awards last year. That movie.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's very great. I like to fly birds of prey, like hawks and things. So I'm a falconer. So it's fun, and up there they fly their eagles for hunting. So it's fun.
I'm still trying to find something she hasn't done. This
I've
is
done
why I'm probing here.
There's a lot that I haven't done. You know, as you get older, you can't do all the things you wish you could do, like kite surf and stuff. Yeah. And I can't get killed, so because I'm the face of the brand still.
But you obviously stay in very good physical condition.
I work out. And I eat well.
Travel, eat well.
Yes.
And we
So-
talked a lot about natural foods and organics.
Yeah,
and-
well, I'm an organic gardener,
Yeah.
and very seriously so. And I refuse to eat or promote anything that's not healthy for us. It's very important. I am working now on with a company that's working on the development of using hemp and CBD in maybe skincare, also for animal care. So I don't know where that will go exactly, but it's very interesting to see what's happening with herbs
Yeah.
in product.
It's a whole new business.
It is. It's a big business
Yeah,
to be.
It's going to be interesting. So before we open it up, is there anything else you want to share with us?
No, but I just thank you for bringing me to Boston, which I love coming up here, and I wish I had more time to spend. But
Well, we appreciate just this short period of time. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
So should we open it up? Does anyone have any questions for Martha?
Sorry, my back. Yes.
Hi, Martha. This is River. Nice to see you
Hi.
again. When I heard you speak in December, you talked about two things. I think one is your 100th book coming out, and the second thing is that are you starting a makeup line called Luminous? Because you look fantastic. So could you talk about that makeup line?
Thank you. Yeah, we are designing a makeup line, into which I hope to incorporate some of this CBD if it's viable. But makeup is something else that I had never done, because when you have a magazine and you have advertisers that are advertising their products, they don't want to compete with your product. Now that's all turned topsy-turvy with advertisers sort of leaving the ship of paper publications like magazines and going online so much. But now, so it's a complicated business. But I'm excited to work on a makeup line. And what was the other part of the question?
I was just
Oh.
mentioning your book that you have.
Oh, the 100th book. Well, the 100th book will be hopefully it will be my autobiography. And it's again, I hate to think about me. I much rather think about other things. So writing an autobiography might be a little painful. I've started to write it in my head, but and I have all the material on one floor in my house, all strewn all over the place. But I don't know. It'll happen. It'll be fun. Any other questions? No. Oh. Yes.
So, Martha, like you, I also have this one. So like you, I also have a Polish heritage, and my family has a long heritage of cooking Polish foods together. And your recipe for pierogies, making pierogi dough, has actually replaced my family's recipe.
The
Which
dough,
is-
right? Isn't that dough good?
The dough is amazing.
Yes, it has sour cream in it, and that's
But
the
here's the
secret.
thing. In a world where everything is disposable and our kids can have anything they want, anytime they want, and then it's on to the next thing, we find that it is challenging to get this next generation to be interested in carrying on heritage. And I wanted to know from you how you do that with your daughter and your grandchildren.
It's difficult because my daughter is more her father's daughter than my daughter. She doesn't care about Christmas. I mean, the holidays are, for a while when she first had the kids, she was more Christmas oriented, but now it's not so important. But you just have to really continue doing it. Easter's a big holiday at my house. Halloween's a big holiday. The next holiday is always the big holiday. So you just keep doing it, and it finally gets into them. I have nieces and nephews who are much more oriented towards the tradition of our family and our heritage than my own daughter. And her kids like it, but they're being influenced inappropriately. But they're into China. They're speaking Mandarin and Spanish, so that all they want to do is go to China and eat dumplings. So they're chattering away in Mandarin. So that's good. I mean, it's a different tradition happening. That's good.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yes.
Hello, Martha. How are you?
I'm
My
very
name
well.
is Rika Lise. And in today's world where women are just badasses, right? How would you, or what type of advice would you give to the new female founders and entrepreneurs who are stepping up and trying to build relationships across the board instead of trying to bind themselves just to female-only environments?
I don't believe in just female environments, first of all, and I never have. And I didn't mention one thing, Carol, that I think is important. In a company, and in a creative company, it's so important to treat the creatives as well as you treat the business executives.
I totally agree.
Yes,
with
I know
that.
you do. That's why I like you so much. No, it's very important. So make sure you don't discriminate against one kind of sector in your company and another. Why should the guys who are pushing the pencils, no offense, please, people in the business world, but they should be, everyone should be treated on contribution to the bottom line. And it's important to do that. And in terms of male, female, originally our company was more female, and it changes. You know, it's like, you know, sometimes more, sometimes less. But
Talent.
it's all about the talent, not so much about who's who. And as far as you as a boss, you have to be equitable and fair, but you also have to stand your ground and not be pushed around.
It's great advice.
Thank you.
Martha, thank you
Warren.
so much.